sacred moments. Sacred moments with you. Sacred moments. Yeah. Enter in sacred moments. I'm here in this space on this day with you. I'm here in this sacred space witnessing the morning dew. Sacred moments. In voice and in victory, we will share our thoughtful view, conversing and even challenging things we thought we knew. Sacred moments. With expectancy and excitement is this time set aside. Won't you enter in with us? And come on, let's take this ride. Riding the waves of wonder and whimsy. We're not here to do silly or flimsy. We're sacred moments. We are here open to listen and engage and converse. You know I'm going to keep the triune God in sight and first. I'm here with you on this holy mountain of meaning, sharing vows and syllables, discussing powerful gleanings. It's sacred moments. With songs and sonnets and poems and prose, this is not just another one of those radio shows. It's sacred moments. It's sacred moments with me as your host, here to clear and create and commune with you from coast to coast. It's sacred moments. Enter. Well. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh my goodness. It is another Sunday morning at 9 a.m. and Sacred Moments is in the house. I want to say good morning to the super duper producer extraordinaire, Khadija Phillips. How are you this morning?
I'm chilling. I'm good. I'm actually hungry. Now I'm sitting here. I'm like, dang, I should have ate. I was going to eat afterwards, but I'm like, now I'm hungry. But...
Yeah. I was very thirsty, and I was going to make some hot tea, but I didn't have enough time, so I found some cold tea. So that's where we're going to go at right now. We got the cold tea going this morning in a tea mug that looks like I'm drinking something hot. The Phantom of the Opera tea mug. I don't even know if I should get them a shout out.
Wait. We should have had some guests on here so we could sing happy birthday.
Yes. You're right about it.
Everybody say happy birthday. Did you enjoy your birthday? What did you do?
Yes. Let me this is how I'm going to say what kind of birthday I had. I'm not in totality, but let me see if I can do it. God has smiled on me. God's been good to me. God has smiled on me. God's been good to me. That's the kind of birthday I had.
Okay.
And then I can sing some rhythm and blues song too.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I got a little bit of a different genres of music I could sing, but I'm going to stick with the Lord right now.
You look pretty. I like your hair.
Yes, I got my hair done for my birthday. I wanted something full because I really like, and you know, I don't like doing my hair, so this is like really easy. Okay. And I went away to 2 different states for my birthday because I had ministry and relaxation, and they were all both in the same week. But the ministry turned out to be like a great segue to my birthday because I went to this beautiful place in Northeast Maryland. It's called Sandy Cove, and it's I think you've been there before. It's really serene. It's very quiet. You hear the birds chirping, and you have a river, a lake, or something, and fire pit, and hiking trails, and I just needed the rest. Thank y'all for saying happy birthday.
Yeah.
And so, and then from there, my daughter-in-law and I went to Jersey Shore, and we just had dinner together. Had spa day, which was fabulous. Treated myself. You know, Khadija, sometimes we look at our bank account, because that's what I was doing. I was like, my bank account, I don't know if I can do this spa day. But then I'm like, girl, you only have one birthday a year. Do the spa day. Here's my credit card. Let's hope it works. And it did. So I did that. And friends went out with your mom. Your mom took me out to breakfast. My other friends took me out to dinner. A really good friend of mine took me to a surprise show in Philly, and we had dinner, and it's just been a great birthday. I have no complaints. So thank you everyone that gave me shout outs on Facebook, because I had a lot of shout outs, and I appreciate that. So okay, continue. I celebrate the whole month, and we have about 11 more days to go, or 9 more days to go. So if you didn't get a chance to celebrate with me, I'm still open. Come on with it.
My son's birthday is tomorrow. He's gonna be 24.
What? Oh my God. He grown.
I know.
Dang. How does that feel, having a 24-year-old? For you, because you look about 28. So
I don't know, it feels weird. Like, just thinking about it, like the days leading up to his birthday, I'm always like, but honestly, like, he's one of the things that I'm proud of. I'm like, I actually did that. Like, you know, had him at 18. You know, I did my thing. Like, he ain't been in jail. He ain't out here on drugs. He ain't got no baby moms. You know, he's a good kid, and you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, I'm proud of that, because I'm sure a lot of people probably had something to say. You know, oh, she having a baby. Honestly, me and I think all my friends had babies around the same time, but I was the first one. So because I was the first one, I know people's moms were kind of like, and then they all got pregnant. We all literally all had babies the same year.
You know what's interesting? I won't say the person, but I had a friend. I got pregnant at 17. In May, and I graduated in June, right? So I barely made it, but I knew I was pregnant at the time. And one of my best friends at the time, when her father found out I was pregnant, he like forbid her from being my friend.
And it's wild. And half the time it'd be the friend that'd be out here doing the most.
I mean, I got pregnant. You know what I mean? It wasn't that we weren't both doing what we were doing.
Right.
It's just that mine became public.
Right.
You know, but you know, and I was just like, he said, what? We can't be friends no more.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I honestly, I just recently told my kids this. I got pregnant before Ali. I was pregnant in the 11th grade, I believe, and I had an abortion. And then I got pregnant, like, with Ali. I was actually in college. I went to school for the summer. I got a scholarship. My mom didn't want to ship me away, so I was still out here in these streets. But you know, during, like, now that I'm older and I kind of look back on my life and like the way I kind of moved, like, I know why that happened. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm glad. Like I said, I did my thing, and he's a good kid, and I still look young. So it's, you know,
you too.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Yeah, and I think like children are such blessings, and I know that in our life we in different stages, we don't know certain things that and we'll talk about this as our conversation proceeds. We don't know certain things. We think we know certain things and we don't know them. I had no idea what to do with this baby. And I remember that, like, okay, when he came, right? I was like, now what?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do I do with this baby?
Yeah.
I'm a kid myself, really, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to find my way around. And it was touch and go. I mean, he's still here, he's a
He
full
made it.
he's right. He made it and I made it. And we and
Right.
we figured it out. And even though you read those books, how to raise a child and all of that, until you have that baby, you know. Um,
Let me tell you something. I remember I got him dressed. He had a snowsuit on, everything, laid on the bed. I was on 54th and Whitby and realized I left him on the bed. And then he put him in the car.
where
I
was
was like, oh my God, freaking out. I'm driving. I'm like, I
I'm
done left
missing
this baby in the
something.
house. But he leveled me up though. It was kind of like, okay, I
Yeah.
got a
Yep.
kid now.
Yep.
Like that's where all my ambition came from. Like I wanted to be I had a scholarship. I was going to school for engineering. So I wanted to be an architectural engineer.
I
Like I had
remember
all these
that.
plans. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then I got pregnant with him. And then it was like, okay, I gotta get some money, I gotta get a car, I gotta buy a house, I gotta do this. So like that's kind of where
Oh
not saying that
wow.
I wasn't ambitious before, but before like just my plans for life was a little different. Like, okay, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
that. Once I had him, that's what kind of entrepreneurial spirit came because it's like I have to be able to be with him. Uh,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
mean, I made a lot of mistakes. Like I had Aaliyah 3 years after that, and they both have said that I worked so much and I always had money, but I wasn't there.
Right.
But I was doing that so that I could be there. So I mean, they didn't hopefully don't understand it when they get older. But I was working so much so I could be there later. You know what I mean? Because I was clearing out the toy aisles. I was in there like, oh, you like Blue's Clues? I was buying everything Blue's Clues off the aisle. You like
Yeah.
SpongeBob? I was buying everything. They had everything. But I was grinding. I was working. I was trying to finish my
Yeah.
degree. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If I
Yeah.
could do things differently, I probably would have. But
Yeah. I mean, even if with our audience listening, I mean, I'm sure that there are a lot of things that we wish that we could do, we done differently. And I mean, I
mhm.
have a long list of those things, like you said, but that's just, it's life. It really is. It's figuring it out, as we go along, and even taking time sometimes to sit and think about, like, what are you doing and why are you doing that? Like, I'm still doing that today. Like, what are you doing and why are you doing that? And asking yourself, particular questions about that. And even sometimes looking at how somebody else is doing something and it works for them, it doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Mhm.
So we have to all
Yeah.
find our kind of way. So, but happy birthday, Ali. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Grown man. I do remember him when he was little. I remember you when you were little too. So I don't know how old I am now. Well, I know how old I am, but that's nobody's business. Mm.
Yeah. That's
How are
why I
you,
didn't even
America? Huh?
ask. I said that's why I didn't even ask. Like we're not even gonna talk
Oh,
about
okay. Actually, I don't mind. I'm 24,000 plus days old.
okay.
If anybody want to add that up, you can. So good morning, audience. We are glad to see you. Thank you so much for we see the happy birthday shout outs coming. I've gotten so many of them again. Thank you. And now we're saying happy birthday to Ali and happy birthday to all the May babies, because we know May is the most wonderful month in the entire year. Don't we know that, audience? You can agree or you can disagree and put your money on there, but we believe it is. So today is just super duper producer Khadija Alter Ego Phillips and myself. We wanted to just come on and say hey. We had some little bit of technical difficulty getting the streaming done No fault of the producer. Let me just say that last week, so we came on a little late, but we glad that many of you did see the replay. We did see that, right? Do you
Yeah.
want to do the shout out to our numbers? Because I was like,
Yeah, we're make sure you go and you subscribe to the channel at bestiesmedia.com, but we're finally getting into the thousands of views on our YouTube channel. Um which is a big deal because I've been working hard. Um and I'm trying to, just get our message out. I just feel like our shows are always so motivational, inspirational, and insightful, and that's kind of what the idea. When I had it in my mind, I was like, okay, I want to do like an inspirational like morning show. I want to do
mhm,
something motivational, not necessarily like just like a Christian Bible study kind of show. Um,
yeah,
but of course, like, I carry God with me everywhere I go. So of course he's gonna be in it. But I just wanted something, just something. I just didn't know.
yeah,
So
yeah,
maybe that was
yeah,
the Holy Spirit, but I was like, I know the perfect person. So um, and I'm just glad that we're getting a reach. So we need to get more subscribers so that you can get notifications when we go live
yeah,
um,
yeah,
on YouTube, because Facebook gives us trouble, and I'm very radical and controversial, so I can't say what I want to say because I want to be able to go live on Sunday.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
if y'all subscribe to YouTube, I can get on there and say what I want to say on Facebook. So.
Yeah. So we want to like and share and subscribe if you've been listening and it's been inspiration or motivation to you. Please do that, and then we'll expand the audience even more. But we are grateful that we are moving past the 1,000 mark in listeners. I think that this has really been amazing to me, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. I was sharing with Khadija a little while ago, and this word really over the last couple days probably has been in my spirit, and the word is awareness. Awareness. So maybe audience that can put in the chat, like if you have any things that like currently you found yourself like aware of, because you know what I was actually thinking about. I had this when I was like upset with when my marriage was breaking up, and my former husband and I we had friends together. You have these friends together, right? And then when you break up, then your friends has to determine who they want to be friends with.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Either this one or that one. And so this is
Now,
the
my
this
all my family and friends are still friends with my ex husband. They still go get their haircut. 90% of my family.
right, right. It is tricky. You know what I mean? It is tricky because then you feel some kind of way that they're still friends with them or whatever. But I had this situation where our friends, which I met through him, but they became my really good friends. After they stopped calling me for a little bit, and then one day I got this message on my phone, and it said, "This is what I heard." Right? We're talking about awareness. I heard, yeah, we ain't talked to you in a while, but we just thought we should call you or something like that. And I was like, well, that's how y'all gonna call me. I ain't talked to y'all. And I'm like, I'm pissed. I'm like going off. And for some reason, Khadija, I saved that message. I don't even know why. I probably saved it so I could hear it again so that when I called them back, I was going to tell them off, right? Because when you're going through what you're going through, you just sometimes you mad at him, you mad at
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Yeah.
you mad at whatever God, because why is this happening to me? And I went back maybe like a week later to listen to this message again, right? It didn't say anything like I just said. It said, "Hey, we haven't heard from you in a while, and we were just calling to check on you." And I'm like, how did I hear that so differently the first time?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because I didn't take time to be aware of what they were saying. My awareness was I'm just mad at everybody and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so, here's the kind of question, like, are we really aware of things as they are? Or are we aware of them as we want them to be and limit our awareness because of fear or not wanting to deal with an issue.
I think awareness has a lot to do with, like you said, like your perception.
Mm-hmm.
So and you perceive things from wherever you are at the moment. So if you're upset, if you're already upset, and let's just say, like for me, like I've been frustrated a lot with the things I'm going through in my marriage. The babies are a lot to handle. So then a model come in and be like, "Mom," and I'm like, "What?" But he didn't, you know what I mean? He didn't say anything that warranted that, but just I'm frustrated. So my level of perception of him asking me another question, as if he's,
Yeah,
continuously
yeah.
asking me questions, is not really warranted, because he may have asked questions, but this is what he does all the time. But today, the state that I'm in, it caused frustration. So I think just where you are, um, mentally, and where you are emotionally can kind of cloud your judgment of certain things. Like you said, you heard a message one way,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
and that's not even how it was.
No.
Even in conversations, like if you're having a conversation with somebody, or your spouse or your significant other, you're hearing things a certain way, and that's not even how the person is saying it or even intended to be said. So let's see.
Yeah, and that's the issue of like what it means to be aware. I actually looked this up before we got on air, and this is what awareness, just a definition from dictionary. It means knowledge or perception of a situation or fact, and I like the fact that it was a situation or fact. Awareness, to have a consciousness about something, or to recognize something, to have a realization, and that word perception. I've had conversations lately with a couple friends, and we as we're talking, what I'm hearing is that's like you just said, that they're seeing it through this particular lens, and the lens is maybe based on how they were raised, um what state of mind, as you just said, they were in or I'm in at the time. But to be aware is then to have an understanding, to grasp it. um
Mhm.
and I just think that, as we talk about being aware, you know are we aware of what we think that we're aware of? Are we aware of our own self, our own limitation, our own how we see things?
Yeah. Carrie said we must be aware of what state of mind we are in at the time we hear what someone is saying to us. Um, yeah, I just think that I think it's hard, um, because we have all these other outside factors, that we're dealing with as we move through life. So sometimes it's hard to make sure that you're looking at things through, I guess, a non-biased lens. I want to say, like, you're not biased based off of other things that are happening to you. But I think it's important to be aware of um, other people's perception as well.
Yeah.
Um, as far as, like, I know, like, speaking as a business owner, a lot of time people complain about customer service that they
Hmm.
receive, and I know this isn't a popular opinion, but I always like to look at things from the other person's point of view, because sometimes I know, you may just be having a bad day. And because that person does not know you, I know for a fact that they're not mad at you. And so they may be frustrated, or they may be going through something. So the way that they're responding to you, or the service that they're giving you, you have to be aware of the fact that they're human too, and they may be going through something too. So, um, I just like to make sure that I'm always conscious of other people as well as myself. Always conscious of other people and what they may be going through, what their perception of me is. Like we were talking about earlier, like a young mom, so people kind of already have an idea of,
Mm-hmm.
what your life will be, or
Yes.
what your life is going to be now.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
let's see. We have another comment. Chris says self-evaluation and self-awareness go hand in hand. Yeah. Yeah, so
Yes.
people have an idea what your life is going to be and how things are going to turn out for you, and oh, you're never going to do this, you're never going to do that. Um, based off of their perception, I guess, or maybe what they've seen in the past. So um, I think it's important to try to be conscious of that, and be aware of other people's perceptions of you.
Yeah, because people write stories based on, and I don't mean like literal stories, but people write stories in their heads based on, and I agree with that. I always remember this one neighbor. I'm going to go back to, when I had my son at 17, and, I grew up. I don't, you probably don't know about this, but back in the day, just like the coal, nobody knew about the coal in the basement. Don't leave me out hanging, audience. But anyway, I grew up at a time where, when I was much younger, like if you got pregnant, right, they would send you down south so that nobody knew you was pregnant. But then, they would send you down south. You had this baby, and either you and somebody else brought this baby back, and this baby was your cousin or something like that. But but I remember, so it was always this shame attached to that, right? It's a shame attached to being young and having a child. And I remember this older woman on my block, across the street, once they found, and I had some shame. I'm not going to sit here and lie, but she lived across the street from us. And I remember, like, she didn't say much, but she called me over one day and she was like, I don't never want to see you with your head down.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she didn't even say that much on the block, but she saw something in that moment. She was like, you gonna be okay. That's all she said to me.
Yeah.
But almost 50 years later, I remember that one person told me, don't ever walk with my head down.
Yeah.
Right. And so she did not allow even my perception. Go ahead, Holy Spirit. She didn't allow my perception of myself at that moment to take over. It was just like a shock. Like, wait a minute. You are allowing this situation to cause you to be what's the word? I mean, downtrodden in your own self, shamed. And you have a I was 17, right? And I have a full life now. Like you said, Ali's okay, my son's okay, as okay can be. Everybody is living, and God has done incredible things. So we just have to be careful not to label people based on a moment in time, and to be aware of our own prejudice and our own bias, not just towards other, but those that we also have in ourselves.
Yeah, that's true. Um, like you said, sometimes you have your own perception of yourself, or you're beating yourself up and it could be based off of what other people have said.
Yes.
And all it takes is just one person to come and remind you of who you are.
And who
I
you
think that's
can
dope.
be.
Yeah, I think that's dope that she did that. That she said
Yeah.
that.
I still remember that. I mean, she was like, come here. And she spoke directly to me, because sometimes in our society, we kind of try to, oh, sometimes it's not even about you and that person. You want to be, the one that say that you came along and look how I helped them, and look how I mean, you don't even have to do all that. Do that stuff one-on-one. A lot of times we don't think that, even it being successful, or even in ministry, right? Unless you are ministering to thousands and hundreds of thousands of people, and forgetting that one person, that you can make an impact in their life, and that is enough for that moment, right? It's not just about numbers and all of that.
That reminds me of when you see these people out here and they pulling up and they're giving the homeless people money or food, and they want to record the interaction. It's like, I mean, would you want a camera in your face? You know, you're already probably stressing about where your next meal. You can't just get that man $20 of food without putting the camera in his face. Like, everything doesn't have to be a show. Like, we do so much for so many people behind the scenes. Like, I just never want to. That's why I'm proud of the numbers, and like the things that I'm doing, because I really don't put it out there that much. I really don't try to push a lot, because I just think that if whoever is for, they're gonna get it. And I don't have to be out here with the, hey, we help somebody do this, hey, we help somebody do that. I just think that, it doesn't have to be thousands of people all the time. Like you said, you can make an impact one on one. You can make an impact in somebody's life, just speaking life into them, because you see them, upset, or just, feeling a certain type of way about themselves. Um, and I think for me, like, as a child, I got teased a lot. Like, I had like serious self-esteem issues.
Too.
And it may have taken, if I had more people in my life saying, certain things to me, I may have felt better. That's why I go so hard with my kids. Like, they are so annoyed. I'm constantly, oh, you look nice, oh, you look pretty, oh, that looks nice on you, oh, you smell good, oh, you did such a great job. The C's get degrees, that's okay, you gotta see, like, who cares? Like, I'm constantly. And I don't know. Like, even I know for my daughter, for Leah, she still has self-esteem issues. Like, I did
Mm-hmm.
all of that, and
Mm-hmm.
she still feels a certain type of way because of other people. But
Yeah. Yeah.
I just think, for me, if I had more people like speaking life into me, and just combating all the negative that I was getting, because it was brutal. Like, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. Probably
Mm-hmm.
to about high school. And then when I got in high school, like, because in my mind, if we talking about perception, people's perception of me was that I was just a horrible person. I was
Mm.
And so by the time I got to high school, in my mind, the only thing I was good for was sex. Like, I knew that you didn't like me, you didn't think that I was pretty, so but I knew that you would want to have sex with me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
That's
knew
what
that
Chris was
I knew that
saying.
I could get you to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
Um,
and that's self-awareness though, right? Like
yeah,
but you've passed that by being aware.
yeah,
And so sometimes it is good for us to go back to make an assessment of, again, like why we act the way we act, why we say the things we say, why we do the things we do. There's reasons behind that. And if we're not aware of those reasons, right, we can continue on a downward spiral thinking we okay, and
mm-hmm,
and being like a hurricane, taking people out along the way.
mm-hmm, yeah,
As we take ourselves out.
yeah,
You know, I like that. I wanted to also add this point because if I can find it, I looked that up. It was like, um, there were different types of awareness, and he talked, one of the commentaries or definitions was perpetual awareness, sensory awareness, and self-awareness. So it's not just one thing or the other. And I thought that sensory was kind of interesting because I'm a very visual person.
mm-hmm,
um, Even in like dreams, right? My dreams are so like, did that just happen?
mm-hmm,
I wake up. I'm like, was I asleep? You
mm-hmm,
know what I mean? Because they were so, so the sensory, even of like smell, can take you to different places, something you taste, you see and all of that. But for me, I think again, it's that self-awareness. Like before we start looking at, the other, it is, am I looking at this through what lens am I looking at this through? I want to give a scripture if that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
In Isaiah chapter 42. This is just something that Isaiah was saying to the people of Israel. And he said, hear you deaf, look, you blind, and see. Who is blind but my servant? Talking about Israel. And who is deaf like the messenger I send? Who is blind like the one in covenant with me? Blind like the servant of the Lord. And then he says this, you have seen many things. Talking to the children of Israel, you have seen many things, but you pay no attention.
Mm-hmm.
Your ears are open, but you do not listen. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
that's how I am sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we all are. I know I am. We just talked about it before we got on camera. Like I knew some things prior to that I should have acted on, but I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
Why do
it's
you think that
also,
is though? Why do you think that is? I mean, if we talking about back to all the way back to the children of Israel and we're still doing it now, why do you think that is?
I think that this is off the cuff, right? But I'm trying to hear what's going on in my heart. I think that sometimes we're not brave
Mm-hmm.
and we think we are, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I mean brave in the sense of digging, digging into the to why and why not, and what is and what can be. Because we have grown up in silos of culture and family dynamics, and it doesn't mean that it's always the best, right? It just means that that's what we grew up in. um Carrie is on here, and her and I have, we have really impactful and deep conversations. And Khadija, when before the show came on, and I'm realizing that even in this season of my life, you know the final chapter, not that I'm going anywhere anytime soon, but as you get, I would say, this might be like the third stanza or something, right? There's things that you can now go back and look at and make an adjustment. I think that's a gift in this season. um and I'm aware of certain things that I did for years that did not always serve me well, but I was too stubborn or afraid to let go of them, maybe even comfortable with them. So to become aware, right, that these things that they may have worked then, they're not going to work in this season.
Mm-hmm.
And to be brave enough to be able to move into that unknown and take those chances that you would not have taken before, and let go of some things that you wanted to hold on to so tightly. To be aware of the season that you're in,
Mm-hmm.
the moment you're in, the relationship you're in. I think that that's something the children of Israel also had gotten to the point where they were so they were so comfortable, I think, with, well, God gonna rescue us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because that's what God does. So we can just go on, and we don't really have to pay attention. We know at some point. And the scripture clearly says, listen, you have ears that God had given them, but you're not even listening. You have eyes that I've given you, but you're not even seeing. And it's not that it's not there. It's that there's a refusal for you to hear and see. That's kind of how I feel off the cuff.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I just
So
wonder, like, and this is kind of off topic too, but just like the children of Israel, when you read and listen to the things that they went through and their struggles, we're still going through the same thing right now. We're still, the same issues that they have. You waiting on God, you think He's not coming, so you start doing something else, or God told you to wait, but you decide to do something else trying to help Him. We still do all the same things. So even when people, have something to say, like they should know God was actually, walking with them, and they saw the signs and wonders, but it's like, yeah, I mean, we kind of do too, and we still do or doubt, you know what I mean, all these years later. So
yeah, they are us and we are them at the
yeah.
same time.
Mm-hmm.
But individually, we can make adjustments because we are, we we become aware of who God is, not the God that we make God out to be. So I think for me, that's lifelong. You know, I I've experienced the love of God throughout my journey, but in different ways. I feel more love today than I did years ago. And I knew God loved me, but I feel even more love today. It's a deeper kind of love. It's not that like it is more of a settling love, right? And waiting, maybe even a love that, to come in a different way. It doesn't have to look this way in order for me to say that God loves me. I do think that we're going to always be on that journey, but also to be aware of how we feel about God in our different seasons. When my mom died, I was mad with God. I was mad. I was like, you know what? This ain't right. I mean, I knew God still loved me and loved her and our family, but if you're not honest with God, you can't even be honest with your own self.
Yeah.
And being aware that this is what kind of settled me. I'm aware that God does know better than me about a lot of things, about all things. And so I had to be, I didn't have to be. I chose to settle myself in that awareness until the healing came.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been mad at God a lot, and I can't even stay mad long because I'm trying to be mad, but then something happens, and I'm like, I know that was God.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I'll be mad and frustrated, and then I'll be like, okay. I mean, I know, I hear you, I see you, I know. Okay, let me get my life together. So even when I try to be, I can't be. Even when I try to run, I can't.
Yeah.
So I get it though, but that's how I felt when my aunt Jackie died. I was like, "This is some bull. Like you got to be kidding me right now." I'm like, "Wow, okay."
Yeah.
Like make that make sense, please. Like that
Yeah.
makes no sense,
Yeah.
So I get it. And then just like different situations in my life, like because I don't know if it's like now that I'm older and just looking back, and maybe it's some awareness there too, but I keep feeling like I need a do over. Like why could a lot of the things that I know now, why couldn't I have learned the people that I met? Why couldn't I have done that earlier? Because I feel like I'm almost like in the middle of my life now. But I mean, you never know. Who knows? But I feel like ideally I'm in the middle of my life, and I could have saved myself so much heartache and pain, and if I would have known some things earlier.
Yeah.
That's where my frustration comes in there, because it's like I want a do-over. Like I want to do over. Like I want to go back and do some things over. So I haven't settled with that yet. That okay, it was a learning experience. You had to go through this here. I'm frustrated because I just feel like that's messed up. That's corny. Like the people that have passed away, just some of the struggles that I had to go through in life. It's just doesn't make any sense. But I think it's because I'm at this point in my life where I'm starting to become aware of certain things. I just wish I could have been aware of them earlier.
And you know what? I hope that you become aware of the fact that someone told me this, and it's actually a book out that I read. I can't find it right now, but it's called "Don't Waste Your Sorrows." And I think I've mentioned this in our show before, but I know I said this even if I've been preaching. The gentleman that wrote this book, he opens the book up talking about his life, right? I think he had like alcoholic parents. He was abused, like really horrible growing up life, and living poor, being homeless. I mean, he lists all these things that happened. And I don't want to make this sound like in theory, but it really settled me when he said, all these things happened to him, like you're saying, and all these things happened to me, like, we talked about earlier. And, God doesn't waste those things in our life. They're used, and they're used in powerful ways once we give them over to God. Because we can't go back and do that. There's no do over to that. But I can become aware of the why I did it, the when it happened, or if it happened to me, and use that to propel me into a state of, even, I'm going to say this, and this might sound a little like, what state of, like what he said. He said, I'm grateful now because all of those things that happened, this is his words, not mine, led me to the cross where I found redemption. This is my words now, because, oh Lord God, where I found for myself redemption of those things, where I found grace, where I found assurance that they did not destroy me, that I found that they've become the greatest testimony of my life now, that so they're not wasted. They're there, and you can use them to propel you forward. If we keep going back and wishing back there, we miss the wonder of the future that's before us, and even the present. That's how I feel about that. So they're not wasted, because you're aware now, and that was our word for the day. um, I want to just read this, and then if you okay to close us out. Um, in my last book that I wrote, Poems, Prose, and Proclamations, as we talk about awareness, I wrote this small devotional. And I really want to leave this because as I celebrated my birthday and thinking about, all the 24,000 plus days that the Lord has given me, and 67 rounds around the sun. And in Psalm 39, 5, it says, Behold, you have made my days a few handbreadths, and my lifetime is as nothing before you. Surely all mankind stands as just a mere breath. And then the scripture says, Salah, which means just to think about it. And I just wrote this little devotional. It says, life is too short to accept the unacceptable from others and yourself, to be silent when your voice should be heard, to ignore wrongs, to forget your blessings, to not be open to the continuing illumination of the Holy Spirit and the Holy Scriptures, to grow deep and wide in faith, to let go of anything that holds you down and back from becoming the person God created you to be. Life is too short to not celebrate love in all of its facets, to not tell, for me, corny jokes or belly laugh with children, and to not be authentically you, to be aware and to understand that to be authentically you is wonderful because that is what God made you to be. To not pen with a purpose or realize that you can be wrong about something that you thought you were absolutely right about. Life is too short to not get back up again and to not live with gratitude, even as we continue to fight the good fight of faith. So, my prayer for our audience listening now and listening in the future will be to take some time about to become aware of what we think that we are aware of, to have a perception, to do what Chris said earlier, self-evaluate, ask your friends questions, Ask them to be honest with you about certain things. Take it before the Lord. Pray and ask God to do the thing that God was telling the children of Israel, to hear and to see and to perceive that, God is who God is, and that since God has made you in God's image, that there is an abundant life. For God knows the plans that he gives us. They are good, not of evil, to bring us hope and an expected end. So no tear, no sorrow, no situation is wasted. If we can go forward in that, I think that we can really begin to have that life that God has called us to have. That's all I got for today.
All right, make sure you tune in to Sacred Space Ministries Friday on Facebook Live at 6:30. Make sure when you get off of here, you go to bestiesmedia.com and hit the subscribe button. And one more thing, get your shirt.
Whoop, whoop.
Shirt at bestiesbusiness.org at the Entrepreneur Shop. Thank you for coming out. God bless. Good night.
Have a great week, guys.